I'm joined by political analyst Lukhona. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fantastic. I look forward to sleeping at home.
Me too, right? So listen, I mean, some interesting remarks by the president tonight about political parties putting aside their differences, and that clearly South Africans have spoken saying that they want parties and leaders in particular to work together. Is this even possible?
An important message from the president, because as the head of the state, he tends to set the tone, at least at a political level, as to how politicians, political parties, political actors should conduct themselves. And then when he pronounces, we are able to also hold him accountable to the standard that he has set out through his pronouncements. For a democracy that is in transition, as we are, with the outcomes that we have seen in these particular elections, we do need those speeches of tolerance. We do need those actions that do engender this idea that everybody needs to cooperate, everybody needs to tolerate the other. Even if you were to walk away, from a hung municipality and it goes to a municipal-wide by-election, there's no guarantee that it is going to come back not hung. So there is greater maturity that is expected from politicians to deliver to the citizens by way of cooperation.
More than 60 hung municipalities. I mean, what are the next couple of weeks going to look like?
Oh, the next couple of weeks are going to look like a lot of speculation. I'm sure you'll ask me at some point to say, look, Herman was seen at a restaurant with Helen. What does this mean? Of course, we cannot be political sangomas, but what it does mean, though, there's going to be a lot of conversations, and whether they are going to try and achieve global agreements, which then they cooperate everywhere where they are hung together, or, as some are saying, let's create locally based case-by-case, coalitions. But of course, those can be very tedious to manage, very elaborate, because we are managing fragmented political actors. And sometimes, as we saw in the Nelson Mandela Bay, if you fight somebody in the National Assembly, as it happened between the DA and the EFF, it spilled itself out to the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, which then affected the stability of that metro. So quite a lot of thinking about, and I hope that political parties will not be scared to reach out and seek advice to thought leaders in society, to academics, to make it possible to come out with robust outcomes after this.
All right, thank you so much.
Only a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, Sally and Shahan, some analysis here from the floor.
Thank you so much. Slindelo Masikane, it's so interesting to hear. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks. This is not the end, Sal, because the coalition talks still have to happen. John Steenhuisen isn't saying, it's still early stages, but there are three of us who are handling this. And we know that the DA want to handle this at the top because they weren't happy with how Herman Mashaba handled that coalition government.
It'll be really interesting to see if other political parties, besides the DA, are prepared to publicise their agreements. I was thinking what JJ was talking about around Matatiel, where it was the AIC, they supported the ANC on the belief that the ANC, having two-thirds majority at that stage, would change the constitution to reshape the border of KZN for them, which would be totally unethical on many levels if it had gone ahead, which of course it didn't, because it does then you make it a matter of public record and accountability, which I think is what everyone is just so desperate for.
Yeah, it definitely will be a good move, because we always have coalition governments that collapse because of the infighting behind closed doors, which the public doesn't know about. And I guess that might be the way to actually ensure that these coalition governments are formed in the interest of citizens, which is what the president spoke about so clearly. And JJ and Lukhona would agree. The president saying that we need to put our differences aside and work together is ultimately him saying, hey, we know we don't have total control in key metros, so work with us. Action SA and the DA clearly not going to do that, though.
And, the point has been made through the course of this week that ANC voters often choose the local election to punish the party if they're unhappy. But when it comes to a general election, they will stay with the party. I'm wondering how long that might last. If the ANC continues not to deliver, I wonder how long that loyalty would last. And clearly, what John Steenhuisen has done by ruling out not only the EFF but also the ANC, as JJ was explaining, is with an eye on 2024.
Yeah, it's strategic. It's a strategic move because he would rather be in an opposition bench than join forces with a party that they don't agree with in terms of values, etc. So that would be a very strategic move for them. The president also said, Sally, that we want to thank the people of South Africa for speaking out this election. So, you know, we've heard from other people in the ANC, Jesse Duarte, Fikile Mbalula, etc. But this is the president saying, hey, I've also heard you and why you haven't voted for the ANC.
And he said at one point, and we really have to listen. And, you know, it's been a historic election. Obviously, it happened during the pandemic. Slee made the point that we're one of 100 countries that's actually held an election during the pandemic. But it's also seen a historic low turnout, 47.1%, the most hung councils I think we've ever seen, and a really strong clarion call to get this right. But for me, the thing that I'm thinking of at this hour is the fact that it had to be pulled together so quickly after the court challenge within 42 days. And I'm wondering if the IEC team and all of those who've worked on the election so hard are feeling the way, feeling this way. I was thinking about Nelson Mandela's famous quote, "It always seems impossible until it's done." I'm sure they feel that way about having pulled off this election, but it also speaks to the challenges at local government level and that we should never give up.
No.